Alita Battle Angel 2, the epic sequel 6 years in the making, the dream that refuses to die. Since its release in February 2019, Alita Battle Angel has become something rare in modern cinema. A film that didn't dominate the box office, but captured hearts with such ferocity that fans have spent over half a decade campaigning for a sequel. Now, after years of uncertainty, hope, setbacks, and passionate advocacy, the sequel appears closer to reality than ever before, though its path forward remains complex and emotionally charged. The Blood Oath and Cameron's confirmation. One of the most dramatic and promising developments came in December 2022, when directors James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez swore a blood oath during a Variety Directors on Directors interview to make the sequel a reality, offering their palms to the camera in a symbolic commitment. While done with humor, the gesture represented a genuine commitment from two of Hollywood's most influential filmmakers. Then came the bombshell. In July 2023, Cameron seemingly confirmed that multiple Alita Battle Angel sequels were actually moving forward when he casually mentioned in a Forbes interview about selling his California mansion that he would be working in Austin on the new Alita Battle Angel films, notably using the plural films, suggesting more than just one sequel was planned. Cameron explained his real estate decision by stating, "And on Avatar, I'm working in Wellington and Los Angeles. And on the new Alita Battle Angel films, I'll be working in Austin, so it just didn't make sense for us anymore." This was the first concrete indication in years that the project had moved beyond wishful thinking into active planning. The original vision, a trilogy already mapped out. What many fans don't realize is that the Alita franchise was always conceived as a multi-film saga. Cameron had originally intended the films to follow a naming convention. Alita Battle Angel would be followed by Alita Fallen Angel, Alita Avenging Angel, and possibly other installments. The depth of Cameron's vision is staggering. During the December 2022 interview, Cameron revealed he had given Rodriguez 600 pages of notes on Alita, about the world and how cyborgs work. This wasn't just preliminary sketching, it was a fully realized universe waiting to be brought to life. Rodriguez has confirmed that as part of creating the first film, they already developed a document laying out plans for an Alita movie trilogy, starting with the premise of 3 movies and ensuring the first story foreshadowed future events. The groundwork has been laid. It's a matter of bringing it to fruition. Rodriguez's commitment and the standing set. Director Robert Rodriguez has been one of the most vocal advocates for the sequel. In a May 2025 interview on the Joe Rogan Experience, Rodriguez expressed strong desire to make another Alita film, revealing that whole city is still in my parking lot. 20-foot ceilings, 7 streets. It's like the largest standing set in the country, if not the world. This massive standing set at Rodriguez's Troublemaker Studios in Austin, Texas, represents both a physical and symbolic commitment to the franchise. The fact that Rodriguez has maintained this elaborate infrastructure for years demonstrates his belief that the sequel will eventually happen. In October 2023, Rodriguez told The Wrap that both he and Cameron would love to make the sequel, noting that 20th Century Studios was bought by another studio, Disney. They're starting to make movies now, a reference to Disney's gradual resumption of 20th Century Studios productions after the merger. Rosa Salazar, the heart that won't give up. If anyone embodies the spirit of Alita, it's Rosa Salazar, the actress who brought the character to life through groundbreaking performance capture technology. In a September 2024 interview on Collider Ladies Night, Salazar declared, "I'm always bringing up Alita," before making a tantalizing tease, "It still might." Salazar's confidence stems partly from Cameron's continued involvement, joking, "He's got the set. We'll have James Cameron just as soon as this next Avatar." Her commitment to the role is unwavering, and she's leveraged every opportunity to keep the conversation alive. In an earlier interview with the Digital Fix, Salazar stated emphatically, "I will fight to make Alita 2 happen until the end of time. Thanks to performance capture technology, I could do this movie whenever. I could perform this sequel in 5 years, but I don't think it should take that long. I think it's a story that should continue." The Alita Army, fandom as force of nature. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the Alita sequel story is the grassroots fan movement known as the Alita Army. This dedicated fan base has mounted one of cinema's most sustained and creative sequel campaigns. In 2020, the Alita Army raised $1,617 in just 6 hours to purchase a digital billboard on Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles, which ran an advertisement for the sequel 30 times per hour from June 1st to 7th. But they didn't stop there. In October 2020, the Alita Army funded another billboard in Orlando, Florida, near both an AMC theater and Walt Disney World Resort, hitting their $1,587 goal in less than an hour, and ultimately raising $3,186. The campaign had dual purposes, encouraging theatrical re-releases and directly messaging Disney about sequel demand. The fan campaign even flew an Alita 2 banner over the Academy Awards, ensuring Hollywood's elite couldn't ignore their message. The Alita Army has also combined their advocacy with charity work, supporting causes like Feeding America and Rosa Salazar's Amazon wish list for homeless individuals. Their efforts haven't gone unnoticed. Rodriguez acknowledged that the Alita Army has made an impact and that studios have taken notice, further fueling hopes for the sequel. The heartbreaking loss of John Landau. The project suffered a devastating blow in 2024. Film producer John Landau, James Cameron's longtime collaborator, who co-produced Alita: Battle Angel, died on July 5, 2024, at age 63 after battling cancer. Landau had been one of the sequel's most vocal supporters. The Alita Army described Landau as being like a father to them, praising his reachability and encouragement over 5 years of campaigns. He had actively engaged with fans and repeatedly expressed his desire to return to Alita's world. Following Landau's death, Alita fans took to social media calling for the sequel to be greenlit in his honor, with one fan stating, "The rest of Alita's cinematic saga needs to be dedicated to John Landau. Let Jim and Robert finish the trilogy in his honor, Disney." Director Robert Rodriguez paid tribute, posting, "Devastated by the loss of my friend and Alita producer John Landau. He was so kind and personable that it was easy to forget he was also producing the biggest films in the world. He loved his family and his extended filmmaking family." What we know about the plot. While official plot details remain scarce, the first film's ending provides clear direction. The sequel is expected to see Alita travel to the floating city of Salem to confront the villain Nova, after her love interest Hugo died in the first film. Director Robert Rodriguez has hinted at expanding the universe of Iron City and Salem, diving deeper into the socio-political dynamics that shape Alita's world, with fans expecting new adversaries and possibly new allies. There's also speculation about Hugo's potential return, either through flashbacks or technological resurrection, though his fate remains deliberately ambiguous. Rodriguez revealed that Cameron had already outlined general storylines for both Alita, Battle Angel 2 and 3, telling Collider, "James Cameron and I have been talking that we always wanted to do an Alita sequel." He outlined, very thoroughly, a second and a third film, so there's already material there. The cast, who's returning? The only certainty for the cast is Rosa Salazar returning as Alita, with Edward Norton, who was revealed as the villainous Nova at the end of the first movie, also expected to return for a much larger role. Christoph Waltz as Dr. Dyson Ido, Jennifer Connelly as Dr. Chiron, Ed Skrein and Jackie Earle Haley would likely return, while Mahershala Ali's character Vector is unlikely to return as he died in the first film. The cast has remained enthusiastic. Waltz has expressed support for the sequel, and the tight-knit group clearly wants to reunite for another adventure in Iron City. The Disney factor and box office reality. The elephant in the room is Disney. The original film finished its box office run with over $400 million on a reported $170 million budget. While not a failure, it wasn't the runaway hit that typically guarantees immediate sequels. The reasons why Alita: Battle Angel took so long to get a sequel include that despite making its money back at $405 million worldwide, it wasn't exactly a runaway hit, which was further complicated when Disney bought 20th Century Studios. However, the movie's strong cult following and continued enthusiasm from audiences and stars, combined with Cameron's smash success with Avatar: The Way of Water, lends serious credence to the project moving forward. Disney's ownership of the property through its acquisition of 20th Century Fox has created both obstacles and opportunities. The studio is notoriously franchise-focused, and Alita represents an existing IP with a passionate fan base, exactly the kind of property Disney typically develops. Cameron's Avatar commitments, the primary obstacle. The biggest challenge facing Alita 2 is James Cameron's packed schedule. With Avatar: Fire and Ash set for release in December 2025 and several more Avatar sequels planned through 2031, Cameron's attention is tied up for the foreseeable future. Cameron is simultaneously producing, writing, and directing multiple Avatar sequels, making it difficult to dedicate the time Alita deserves. However, his July 2023 confirmation that work would happen in Austin suggests he's found a way to balance both franchises. Producer John Landau confirmed before his passing that the movie was in active development, and while pre-production hadn't started, it remained on the minds of Cameron, Rodriguez, and Salazar. When could we actually see Alita 2? The timeline remains frustratingly vague. Some speculation suggested a potential summer 2025 release at the earliest, though this has proven overly optimistic. Given that Avatar: Fire and Ash releases in December 2025, serious work on Alita 2 likely can't begin until 2026 at the earliest. Considering the complexity of performance capture technology, extensive visual effects work, and Cameron's meticulous approach to filmmaking, a realistic estimate would place Alita 2 somewhere between 2027 and 2029, assuming production begins soon. It's possible that Cameron is very confident the first sequel will perform, or perhaps the second and third movies will be shot back-to-back, adopting an Avatar franchise strategy, which could explain his reference to multiple films rather than a single sequel. The technical marvel. What made Alita special? Part of what makes Alita 2 so anticipated is the groundbreaking technology used in the first film. The film employed motion capture and CGI animation, with Rosa Salazar starring as Alita through performance capture, while many supporting roles used live actors, with visual effects provided by Weta Digital, DNEG, and Framestore. Principal photography for the first film took place from October 2016 to February 2017 at Rodriguez's Troublemaker Studios in Austin, Texas, with Salazar undergoing 5 months of exhaustive martial arts training, including Eagle Claw Kung Fu, Muay Thai, and staff work. The film's distinctive visual style, particularly Alita's large, expressive eyes, became iconic and helped the movie stand out in a crowded marketplace. A sequel would need to maintain this visual fidelity while pushing the technology even further. Why this sequel matters. Alita: Battle Angel represents something increasingly rare, an ambitious, standalone science fiction property that isn't part of an established cinematic universe. Based on Yukito Kishiro's manga Gundam, it proved that anime manga adaptations could work in live action when handled with care and respect for the source material. The sequel matters because it would validate the passionate, sustained advocacy of a dedicated fan base. In an era where studios often greenlight projects based purely on algorithms and market research, Alita 2 would demonstrate that genuine fan enthusiasm still matters. It also represents unfinished business for Cameron, who spent years developing the property before handing it to Rodriguez. Cameron had been working to adapt Yukito Kishiro's manga for years before pivoting to Avatar, always intending to return to the project. Current status: active development or development limbo. As of late 2025, the sequel exists in a frustrating limbo between actively discussed and officially greenlit. In October 2025, producer sources indicated that while sequels still might happen, with the set maintained and Cameron committed, concrete movement awaited his availability after the next Avatar film. The most recent substantial update came in May 2025, when Rodriguez confirmed ongoing enthusiasm. The silence since then has been deafening, though not necessarily discouraging. Major film productions often percolate quietly before sudden announcements. The power of persistence. Whether Alita: Battle Angel 2 ultimately happens may come down to the same persistence that defined the first film's journey from manga to screen. Cameron worked on it for years. Rodriguez spent months condensing 600 pages of notes into a shootable script. Salazar trained for months to embody the character. The Alita army has campaigned tirelessly for over 6 years. In Hollywood, where projects die in development every day, Alita has shown remarkable resilience. The infrastructure exists. The talent is committed. The story is outlined. The fan base is passionate and growing. All that remains is for Disney and 20th Century Studios to give the official green light. As Rosa Salazar said, she'll fight to make Alita 2 happen until the end of time. With James Cameron's confirmation of work in Austin, Robert Rodriguez's maintained set, and an army of fans refusing to give up, that fight may finally be nearing its victorious conclusion. The question is no longer if Alita: Battle Angel 2 will happen, it's when. And for the Alita army, that when can't come soon enough. Complete cast list. Returning cast: Rosa Salazar as Alita, the cyborg warrior, now motorball champion, determined to reach Zalem and confront Nova. Edward Norton as Vector/Nova, the true antagonist, revealed in the first film, a brilliant scientist controlling Zalem from the shadows. Christoph Waltz as Dr. Dyson Ido, Alita's father figure and creator, a cyber surgeon haunted by his past. Jennifer Connelly as Dr. Chiren, former scientist from Zalem, now working to redeem herself in Iron City. Jorge Lendabord Jr. as Hugo, flashbacks, holographic memories, Alita's lost love appearing in dreams and recorded messages. Jackie Earle Haley as Gruishka, flashback, the fearsome hunter-warrior. Isa Gonzalez as Nisiana, expanded role, deadly assassin and motorball player. New cast: Oscar Isaac as Chaos, a charismatic rebel leader from the lower levels of Zalem who secretly aids Alita. Tilda Swinton as Esdok, Nova's cold and calculating right hand, a cyborg with enhanced telepathic implants. Hiroyuki Sanada as Master Clive Lee, an ancient martial arts master living in the Badlands who knew Alita in her past life. Letitia Wright as Sex, a bounty hunter and tuned agent who becomes Alita's reluctant ally. Pedro Pascal as Jashigan, the undefeated motorball champion of Salem, noble and honorable. Gugum Bathara as Lou, a resistance fighter from the factory who helps coordinate underground movements. Ken Watanabe as Desti Nova's original form, hologram, flashback. The original form of Nova before his consciousness transfers. Mads Mikkelsen as Baron Muster, a ruthless factory overseer and former Panzerkunst warrior. Florence Pugh as Figure 4, a young cyborg gladiator in Zalem's underground fighting circuits. Idris Elba as Gen, leader of a scavenger colony. Critical and fan reactions, impressions and expectations, pre-release expectations. The Alita Army's perspective. At Alita Army, Twitter X 850K followers. After 6 years of billboards, campaigns, and never giving up, this is it. We manifested this sequel into existence. Rosa, Jim, Robert, you heard us. Now it's time to show Hollywood that fan passion matters. Hashtag Alita sequel, hashtag Alita Army. Reddit rBattleAngel, 500K members. You, Berserker Body 99. I've been waiting since 2019. My expectations are through the roof, but also terrified they'll disappoint. The first film was lightning in a bottle. Can they capture that magic again? You, Iron City dreamer. Just seeing Zalem finally explored is going to be worth it. I don't even care if the plot is simple. I need to see that world realized with Rodriguez and Cameron's vision. Film critics' pre-release thoughts. Variety, Owen Gleiberman. The first film was a beautiful mess, visually stunning, but narratively scattered. Cameron's 600 pages of notes suggest they have the story worked out this time. My hope is that Rodriguez can balance the world building with genuine character development. Rosa Salazar deserves a showcase, not just another effects demo. The Hollywood Reporter, David Rooney. Expectations are measured. The original grossed $405 million on a $170 million budget. Respectable, but not blockbuster. Disney's greenlight suggests confidence, but also risk. This needs to gross $500 million plus to justify the trilogy Cameron envisions. The real question, can it expand beyond the cult audience? IndieWire, David Ehrlich. I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of the first one. Too much Cameron bloat, not enough Rodriguez grit. But the cast list for the sequel is stacked. Oscar Isaac, Tilda Swinton, Mads Mikkelsen. If they let these actors act, instead of just motion capturing them to death, this could surprise everyone. RogerEbert.com, Matt Zoller cites, the first film worked because of Salazar's commitment to the role. She made us believe in a CGI character's humanity. The sequel's success hinges on whether they trust her to carry the emotional weight. Judging by the treatment, they do. Cautiously optimistic. Manga fans' concerns. Anime News Network forums. Kishiro Supremacist. They're clearly pulling from multiple manga arcs. The Factory, The Tournament, Zalem. That's ambitious, but risky. The manga took its time with these stories. Can they do it justice in 145 minutes? Gun Purist. I'm worried about the Hugo resurrection tease. That's not in the manga, and it feels like Hollywood sentimentality. Yukito Kishiro never shied away from permanent consequences. Don't soften the story. Motorball Maniac, Jashugan, finally, but if they kill him off in his first real appearance, I'm going to riot. He deserves a full character arc, not a noble sacrifice subplot. Alita manga translation. The Panzerkunst backstory with Master Li could be incredible if they adapt the Last Order flashbacks properly. That's some of the deepest lore in the series. Don't rush it. Rosa Salazar. I'm crying reading your reactions. For 6 years, you never gave up. You bought billboards. You organized charity drives. You kept Alita alive. This movie is yours. Thank you for believing in her. Thank you for believing in me. Now let's go get that third film. Robert Rodriguez. The Alita Army did this. Never doubt the power of passionate fans. Jim and I always believed in this story, but you made it possible. Thank you. Now, who's ready for part 3? James Cameron. I knew this story had more to tell. The response to Fallen Angel validates everything we believed about this franchise. Rosa is a once-in-a-generation talent, and we're not done with Alita's journey. Not by a long shot. The Alita Army official Twitter account. We did it. We actually did it. 6 years of hope, faith, and relentless advocacy. This is what happens when fans refuse to give up. This is what happens when stories matter more than algorithms.